Yo, what's up, guys? Neutral Zone here. We have a kind of just offensive video in general. We're going to be covering some of the top tight ends, running backs, and running backs, tight ends, and quarterbacks. Duh. It was kind of a weaker class. Like, we couldn't really rank the top eight, like, quarterbacks because there's not really that many relevant ones, and even tight ends and running backs, just a weaker class in general. So we're just going to talk about, like, kind of the consensus 2 to 3 top for each group, day one, day two guys for you. What we thought about them. Not really a ranking video, but more or less of just a discussion. How you doing, bro? You doing good?
Good, yeah. I'm excited to talk some offense because it's been a lot of defense recently, but yeah, it's been a grind. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about some of the stuff we've been looking at.
Yeah, me too. So just right away, you want to get into it. Do you want to talk about what group do you want to talk about first? Do you want to just get quarterbacks out of the way first?
Yeah, I would just say that with two quarterbacks, there's only two really worth mentioning in this class that are like I feel like could be starters.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, we can talk about Mendoza and Simpson.
Yeah. So let's talk about Mendoza first, and I want to hear what you have to say about him because you like him, correct?
I do like him. Yeah, I do like him.
So with this video, I kind of want to hear, where is he on your big board, and what like grade do you have for him? Like, where would you take Mendoza first overall? Do you think he's the first overall quarterback, and where is he on your big board? I'd love to hear these things for these prospects.
So he is. Let me pull up my big board quick. He is number 8 on my big board currently. Out of my how many prospects? 77 prospects
80.
that I've looked at. So yeah, about 80 prospects. He's number 8 on my big board, and from positional value, I would take him first overall because he's a quarterback. I think like for how good he is at quarterback, in my opinion, I think he can get taken at first overall, and he will. I mean, this is more of a conversation about what he can do for the Raiders. Now, do I think he can carry the Raiders to a new level? I don't think so, just because it's the Raiders, and that's like a big ask. Mendoza, I said, while he might not be the best prospect in this class, Mendoza is definitely deserving of the number 1 overall pick. A prototypical white gunslinging quarterback, Mendoza excels at releasing the ball fast with great accuracy. I thought he had really strong pocket presence and only ran if it was designed or as a last resort. I thought he was really solid runner when he needed to, surprisingly tough to bring down. I thought he was really fast and accurate with his read progression. I thought he was good when blitzed or rushed in the pocket. For the most part, I thought when he was kept clean, he was nearly perfect. I thought he really elevated his receivers as well. And we kind of had this conversation in the receiver video. Like, you were really high on Omar Cooper and Elijah Surratt. And in my opinion, I kind of thought they were elevated a little bit by Mendoza. I think he made them look better than they are as prospects. And that's just my opinion. But I thought he actually made them look better than they truly are. And that's why I was a little bit lower on Elijah Surratt. And even Omar Cooper, I was a little bit lower on than you. I thought he played lights out when it mattered.
And he gets smoked sometimes.
He does. Like, he takes really unnecessary hits. And like, if you get hit like that in the NFL, that's going to be injury concerns. And I don't like that. He's got to learn to slide for sure. He doesn't really slide that much. I thought he was kind of unproductive yards wise throughout the season. He only had one 300-yard plus game, and that came against Michigan State. That was a little concerning to me as well. Now, it's not a huge deal because he was making up for it with his touchdowns. He threw a lot of touchdowns, but it is something to look at. When you're only throwing one 300-yard plus game in 16 games, that is definitely concerning. And what was my other thing? Yeah, I said he was very productive with touchdowns. He had 41 this year, so he's averaging almost 2.5 a game, something like that.
16 games, so no, it's actually more. It's like 3, right?
It's like 2.5 to 3 a game. But I thought he had a really good build size-wise, 6'5", 236 pounds, almost 32-inch arms, 9.5-inch hands, solid hand size, decent arm size, really good weight and height. His overall grade this year, 91.6. He had a 90.7 pass grade. He had a 79% adjusted completion rate, 9.4 NFL passer rating. He has thrown for 8,200 yards in his career, 71 touchdowns. 74 rushing grade. He attempted 76 carries this season. He only had 2 below average games, in my opinion, which were the first Oregon game and Purdue. The Purdue game was just weird. I don't understand why he didn't play very well that game against a not very good Purdue team. So that's something to watch out for. But I thought that he played really, really well in 10 out of his 16 games. I thought he played really well against Illinois, against Penn State, against Ohio State, against Alabama and Oregon the second time. I thought he also played really well in the Natty against Miami. He recorded 3 touchdowns and no interceptions in 7 of his 16, which is what you want to see. You want to see your quarterback be careful with the football and be accurate with the football as well. But yeah, overall, I know he didn't play very well at Cal, and you talked to me about that his Cal tape wasn't that impressive. For me, I kind of don't really care about seasons that were like where you've had a season since then where you prove that you can play better. Like to me, he's obviously improved his game, and to look at the past when he's already showed he improved his game is not that important to me. And I think that he can elevate a team to new heights. Like I don't think Indiana makes their natty run without him at quarterback. That's just my opinion. I don't think you make the natty run
Okay.
without Fernando Mendoza at the
Okay.
helm. And yeah, that's kind of my take on Mendoza. I know you're definitely lower on him, and I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I'll be honest when I say, like I said at the beginning, all these guys that we're going to talk about, I'm lower on like literally every one of them. Lower on consensus than Love, lower on consensus than Mendoza, lower on consensus than Sadiq. None of them really popped to me, and Mendoza on my big board currently is sitting at 39. I did not like him really at all. I think that I would probably draft him at highest mid 20s to a team that can develop him. Like if Aaron Rodgers for the Steelers came back for a year, I would think that if he sat behind Aaron Rodgers for a year, that maybe he could play. But he just has so many things that I think do not translate to the NFL at all. I'll start with some of the things that he did good. His pre-snap processing is really, really good. I thought he always consistently finds like soft spots in zone. And this kind of goes to like Indiana's scheme. He operates the RPO type scheme really, really well.
For sure.
And you kind of need high IQ, quick processing to diagnose like if you hand the ball off, do you hit the RPO? Oh, do I hit the fade instead? And he can stretch the field with his back shoulder fade balls as well. So in an RPO level scheme, he is a really high processor, really comfortable in that. And his better games did come in the biggest moments. So the way I grade out the season, I watch every game that this quarterback plays from every major season. I watched every game from his Cal tape and every game from his Indiana tape, and I rank each game out of 10. Now, I'm going to be honest, my rankings vary very differently from like PFFs or like the average person would. For instance, I mean, he could put up like 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 200 yards. But if every single one of the touchdowns was all his receivers, I'm going to grade him like a 5 out of 10 or like a 6 out of 10. Like he didn't do anything for me, right? So in the last few games for him, Ohio State, I thought he had a 6 out of 10 game. I thought Alabama was a 7 out of 10 game. I thought Oregon was a 6 out of 10 game. And I thought Miami was a 6 out of 10 game. And that's pretty good for me. Anytime you get over a 5 as a quarterback, it's hard. I'm harsh on my quarterbacks. The season, though, graded out to me as 6 out of 10. Which is fine. He was 60%. But there was just certain games where I thought if he's a first overall quarterback, he should have played much, much better in. Like the Michigan State tape was a 9 out of 10 game for me. He had 3 NFL level plays. That's another thing I chart is NFL plays that I think you would have to be an NFL level quarterback to make. He had 18 all season. Which isn't great considering he played 16 games and considering that Indiana played a pretty easy schedule. I mean, their first 3 games were Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, Indiana State. They played Iowa, who was fine. Michigan State was horrible. UCLA was bad. Maryland was bad. Penn State was bad. Wisconsin was bad. Purdue was bad. I kind of wish he would have done better. And, these games where he puts up like 5 touchdowns, it's kind of the same thing that it's like the Jeremiah Love conversation. Like he's in the game throwing touchdowns and they're beating UCLA by like 30-0 and it's not even the second half. Like what are we doing? Like, a lot of these games you're right, he only had 300 yards once and that's not a great look. And he's kind of stat padding. Like I noticed that. I thought he was stat padding in a lot of these games. And it's just like you're not going to lose. Let the backup in. I just thought they played so tempoed. I felt like he was carried. I mean, I kind of look at this opposite of you. I view Elijah Surratt and Omar Cooper Jr. super highly. I think them as yak threats, both of them, especially Omar Cooper and then Surratt as more of like a third down specialist. I think they saved his ass so much. Like the Penn State game, this dude wouldn't have been the Heisman if they would have lost the Penn State game. And Omar Cooper like single-handedly saved that game for them. Like that wasn't a great throw in the back of the end zone. In fact, it wasn't good. He should have found somebody else, but Omar Cooper had the most miraculous toe tap of all time. And like if they lose to that like 3-5 Penn State team, that's not a good look for him. I thought he played in the best possible system for his skill set too. Like, I think after watching Mendoza and seeing the season he had, the conclusion I came away is that Curt Cignetti is the best college football coach by far and maybe one of the best coaches in the world. I thought he plays to his strengths, like played to Mendoza's strengths perfectly. Mendoza locks in on his primary target a lot in this RPO system. Like he's a quick processor, but once he finds his guy, if you have these quicker linebackers and corners, they're going to break down on that quicker than you like. I also thought Mendoza wasn't an elite athlete. His speed didn't wow me. He really showed no improvisational ability. Like anytime the pocket collapses on him, he just gets sacked, honestly. Like I didn't really think any of his scrambles. He had some design scrambles, but they were wide open. No one's even chasing him down. Like anyone could do that. Yeah, and then the Cal tape. This is a big conversation for me. The Cal tape was horrible, like genuinely atrocious. He had one good game at the end of the season against, it was literally their last game. Who was it? It was Stanford. He had four good plays in an 8 out of 10 game. It was really solid, but that kind of boosted him up in the transfer portal. I kind of think he's that same player. I just think Curt Cignetti put him in the perfect system. Because I'll be honest, like the system around him in Cal was really, really bad. And then he just went into a system with 2 NFL running backs, an NFL tight end, 2 first-round, in my opinion, wide receivers, a pretty damn good O-line. And honestly, he just did fine for me. Once again, like his improvisational skills, bad. I feel like anytime I never saw him escape a sack. Like honestly, maybe one time, but anytime someone gets arms on him or just in his face, he usually just goes down. And he never protects himself. He gets smoked too. The pressure almost always gets the best of him. He allows way too many unnecessary pressures, and he had a 25.6% pressure to sack rate in 2024. And even with a really good O-line in 2025 and a super good system, he still almost had a 20% pressure to sack rate. And another thing, I don't think he can throw down the middle of the field. Every single one of his interceptions came from being picked off by a lurking linebacker or a lurking safety. And I really think it's because the RPO game outside of slants and like 15-yard in posts, don't really require you to throw down the middle of the field. Anytime they needed to, he needed to pass like 10 yards, he got picked off. I mean, like the Oregon game, I think he got picked off in. He got picked off in, I think, the Purdue game. I think like Maryland picked him off. Like it was like games where I was like, dude, he threw some bad balls down the middle of the field. Or like there's not even a receiver in sight. And I just really questioned like all these things. The Cal tape was bad, like really, really bad. You can't deny the production, but I think it's so much of the system. And even with the production, he was one of the worst Heismans I ever watched, to be honest. I didn't really. Like, did you think it was a Heisman caliber season? Because I honestly thought that Sayan had a better season. I thought that Jeremiah Love had a more impressive season. It was a weak season for the Heisman overall, but I didn't think anything of his tape screamed Heisman level, to be honest.
That's fair. I mean, I just think, like, I mean, he led Indiana to 16-0. Like, he won the Natty.
Here's the thing. This was like Curtis Rourke's stats adjusted for 16 games, like assuming if he would have played all 16 games like Mendoza did, were better. And Curtis Rourke was a 7th-round pick, and he had good size too. But for some reason last year, everyone saw that Curtis Rourke was a scheme. And next year, I think Josh Hoover from TCU is going to come in, and he's going to lead Indiana to a really, really good year again. Maybe not as good of a year. Obviously, Natty's very, very hard to do. But I don't think Mendoza's the reason they were here. I know you said that you do, and we're just going to disagree with that. Like, I think that everybody on this team just elevated him to the max. Like this, and this is the perfect scheme for him. And he's going to go in the NFL, and even on the best possible team for him, it will not be as good as Indiana. And even at Indiana, like I said, I still think I know it's hard to say he should have played better when he was the Heisman, but like a lot of these games were very underwhelming to me, and I thought it was an underwhelming Heisman anyways. So I don't know.
There's
it's
definitely
not about what more I want him to do in a sense. It's, well, I guess that's like the wrong way to word it, but it's like just because he had a good season doesn't mean he gets like he's automatically first overall pick. Like guys light it up. Like Bailey Zappi had like 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. I don't give a damn because you're playing Western Kentucky. Like a lot of these stats, honestly, I wish that somebody like tracked this, and I wanted to, but it'd take too long. How many of his stats were, or how many of his touchdowns were when they were winning by 3 or 4 plus touchdowns, because it was so many of them. And it was then how many of his touchdowns were pretty much all his wide receiver, because the amount of screens he threw to Cooper or quick slants that Cooper or Surratt just housed, it had to be at least 10 to 15 of his 40. And then I bet another 10, like I would honestly bet that half of his touchdowns come in either his wide receiver did it or they were up 3-4 touchdowns. So I mean, like if that's 20 touchdowns at the end of the day, like, yeah. And I also didn't think he could throw deep outside of fades, like back shoulder fades to the corner of the end zone. It's a good skill to have, but like anything I mean, I think he couldn't throw middle of the field deep, so he definitely can't throw deep in the middle. But I didn't really see that. Like, he doesn't launch it a ton. I also thought his arm was just meh. Like, it was fine. But that's just the product of Indiana not asking him to do much. And, if I have to look at how he played outside of Indiana's system, it's garbage. So maybe he is really, really like a lot better than I think. And he just wasn't able to showcase it in this system. But the only other evidence I have of him outside of it is horrid. Like, he's a UDFA if he based off of his Cal tape for me. Like, it was really, really bad. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm harsh on quarterbacks, like, because they can literally ruin your franchise for years. Like, if I were the Raiders, I would just trade back. Next year there's going to be a better quarterback, I can guarantee it. But yeah, that Mendoza for me was 39. I'd take him as a project first, kind of like where Kenny Pickett went type of thing. And even still, like, unless you're like the Steelers, you're probably just better off taking a position that you need. So yeah, I just didn't like him. I wasn't impressed, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just kind of disagree on some of the core like elements of his tape, and that's kind of where our discourse is. But it'll be interesting to see. I don't think, like, honestly, the Raiders are so far gone. I don't know if you put like one of the better NFL quarterbacks on that team, I don't know if they would succeed. So it's going to be really tough for him to succeed on the Raiders, but we'll see. Maybe he'll surprise us and the Raiders will be solid this year, but I just don't see it. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I personally wouldn't take him at first overall because he's my 8th player on my big board, but just the QB, like, there's so much QB need, and this is such a weak class that he's going to go first overall. So it's just good to have these conversations about where, like, how good we actually think he is, and if he can actually elevate a horrible Raiders team to...
Yeah, like I said, I think even if he was on a NFL scheme designed for him, which the Raiders will not be, they have horrid wide receivers, and their O-line is kind of not good, and their coaching is definitely not as good. I still think he would be just mediocre. I kind of see him as like maybe he could be a top 20 quarterback. But I will say that the traits, he does have the physical upside, so if you could develop him, it's not like he's like super small and we'll never be able to get that. He does have the physical traits.
I did think it was really funny, though, on the NFL page that they compared him to Joe Burrow.
Yeah, he's not even a tenth of Joe Burrow. Yeah,
that is so funny, bro.
Not a chance.
He's not even close.
I mean, I think Joe Burrow in that final season he had, probably one of his worst games were better than Mendoza's best games, like, honestly.
Yeah.
Just for me. So, yeah. You want to talk about Ty Simpson, though? Because...
Yeah, let's do that.
Obviously, Ty Simpson's my favorite player in this class off of personality. I love Ty Simpson as a Bama fan. Obviously, I have a much different take on him draft-wise.
Yeah.
Where did you have Ty Simpson? I want to hear what you have to say.
I had him at the back end of the first round for talent.
Okay, so I had Ty Simpson. He is my first player on my big board. He is better than Mendoza for me, not by much, but I kind of view them very similarly as quarterback prospects, at least of like right now where their floor is. And I would probably take Ty Simpson like same range as Mendoza, maybe a little higher, but like if he went to the Steelers and sat behind Rodgers, I think that'd be an ideal situation. But I mean, I know I just talked about him, but this is my guy. If I could talk about him, just because I thought I watched him, in the regular season too.
Absolutely.
Simpson, because obviously I think he's better than Mendoza. There has to be a reason for that. I thought that he was just way more of a prototypical quarterback. He was way more of an NFL quarterback. He had the same amount of NFL plays as me as Mendoza, and he played a way harder schedule and one less game. And I thought he had roughly the same, like he was a 5.8 out of 10 grade for me all season with his injuries. So if you count the Indiana game where he was injured all game and the SEC championship Georgia game where he was injured all game, it was a 5.4 out of 10. But yeah, to start with Simpson, I thought he had great throwing mechanics with a good arm. I think he can make virtually every single throw. Some of those like super deep moon balls, maybe he's a little more limited on, but obviously there's very little arm talent in the world that can do that. Very smart as a pre-snap player. I thought he was like a true field general, often changing protections as needed and plays as needed. My thing is he's comfortable as a pocket passer. I did not think Mendoza was. When the pocket broke down at Alabama, which was virtually all the time, because even though there was talent on this line, it was horribly coached. I thought he actually improvised, made plays outside the pocket, reset the pocket, climbed the pocket when needed, set his feet on a scramble and hit downfield. I thought he could hit all levels of the field. I thought he hit intermediate routes. I thought he hit screens well, slants well. His middle of the field passing is the best tape of any quarterback in this class. He is the best middle of the field passer in this class. His deep ball was pretty damn decent. Yeah, and then like I said, scramble game and improvising ability is good. I don't think it's going to be like his calling card in the NFL, but I think it's solid enough that he's going to be able to make plays at the next level. And then I think his QB general ceiling shows with elite highlights. His Georgia, the first Georgia game, shows a really, really good player that's going to get you wins through just managing the game, like kind of like a Kirk Cousins type guy. His Wisconsin tape was really, really good. That was the best quarterback. It was a 9 out of 10 game for me. I thought he diced up Wisconsin. And I know they're not like the best team, but there's still talent on that defensive front with like their two linebackers, Posa and Zachman. Zachman's the safety, but I thought LSU, he had a 7 out of 10 game, solid game against LSU, solid game. I know it's Louisiana Monroe, but he had a 7 out of 10 game against Louisiana Monroe. And then he was just solid overall. 6 out of 10 game against Mizzou, 6 out of 10 game versus Auburn. In the college football playoff against Oklahoma, he had a 7 out of 10 game with 3 big plays. Pretty much the only reason we won that game, to be honest. I think if you replace Ty Simpson with a lot of starting level quarterbacks, I think Alabama loses a lot more games, but it's kind of the opposite for Mendoza with me. But there is obviously some downsides as to why I have him still only 31. Like, it's not like I view him as like a top 10 pick or anything, or could go first overall. He's only been a 1-year starter. That's not great. I will say he sat at Alabama, which is a very prestigious program behind a ton of NFL quarterbacks, and he had Nick Saban's coaching. He got very banged up in the 2025 season. Like, he kind of doesn't know when to slide, and because of that, like, had his broken rib, his herniated disc. I don't think there are any injuries that will carry in like long term, but it's still like he could get injured at the next level not sliding. He is undersized at only 6'1", 211 pounds. It's not great. It's fine. Like, he'll survive, but it's like you would wish he had a few more inches on him. His time to throw needs to be improved. He had a 2.95 time to throw. That's bad. He has to get it out, cut that by almost half a second. But I will say, I think the way Alabama played, he had to improvise and roll out of the pocket so much that's probably why. And then, yeah, like I said, needs to slide and have better ball security, as he had 7 fumbles this year. Honestly, the team did him no help. So if there is any grace I can give him with that, it would be he was kind of sent out there to die a lot of the times. Like that Indiana and Georgia SEC game were kind of evidence of that. They should have pulled him way earlier. But overall, I think Ty Simpson's an interesting developmental prospect. And I just think his NFL ceiling is so much higher than Mendoza's, because the clinical tape he had against games like Oklahoma and Wisconsin just showcased like an actual NFL quarterback, in my opinion. What did you think about him, though? So obviously you thought he was like a late first-round talent. We probably view him very similarly.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we do definitely view him very similarly. I think that Simpson is a guy that kind of gets a lot of hate for no reason. I feel like whenever there's like talk of him getting drafted in the first round, everyone's like, oh, no, Ty Simpson.
Yeah, showed NFL traits. I don't get why people are so opposed to him.
He was really quick with his reads, and he was really accurate. I thought he was a really solid pocket presence for sure. I thought he was really slippery and harder to sack than Mendoza for sure, like you said. I think
smaller, but I do think he's also more elusive. That is a skill that is way better than Mendoza's.
I mean, I think being smaller helps you be more elusive, so I don't think it's like that crazy to say that. I also thought he had a decent set of open field moves, honestly, to shake defenders, like if he did run. I thought some of his most productive games came against pretty solid competition. I also thought he was better under pressure, better when blitzed as well than PFF gave him credit for. I think PFF was pretty harsh with his blitz grade. I didn't think that he was honestly that bad against blitzes.
I'm going to tell you, you can credit that as a negative. Bama's O-line was horrendous. Caden Proctor was the only decent play we got out of him, and even still, how they used him, Simpson was not set up at Alabama at all. It was we fired our O-line coach immediately after the season ended, and it's the biggest need for improvement, man. So
for sure,
he was sent out there to die a lot of games.
Quite literally sent out there to die, and I think he actually handled it fairly well.
He did. I thought, he was very poised.
My most underrated part of Simpson's game is I really liked his throw power and his medium center passing. Yeah, it was really great.
I think it's better than Mendoza's, man.
I would agree with the throw power for sure, and his how he throws over the middle.
Way better.
But there's definitely some things that I didn't like as well. The biggest issue for me was, like, I know he was injured, but those last 2 games of the season, I get the SEC championship wasn't horrible, but the playoff game was really bad. He only threw for 67 yards, no touchdowns.
He had a herniated,
and I'm not downplaying that at all. Like, that's definitely something
it's still something to I counted it in my thing.
It's not something you want to see, especially at the NFL level. Again, I know he was injured. That's definitely something he was working through, but he still only threw for 67 yards. Not great. He also struggled with fumbling, like you said. Not very safe with the ball. I don't like that, especially when you're undersized. Like he's only 6'1", 211, like not horrible size, but like compared to Mendoza, his size is not there. What else? He kind of wasn't that productive with touchdowns, like especially like there was like games where I think he had like 5 games where he had one or less out of his 14 games. I don't like that necessarily. There was some games where he had 3+. I think he had 4, which is really solid. But I don't remember. I'm trying to remember what games those were.
Yeah, that's what I mean with his ceiling. Like when he's on against like Oklahoma, Georgia the first time, Wisconsin, Louisiana, Monroe. Like,
Yes.
It's like he's just dicing up. Like he is in complete control. It's like I thought it was like he is cooking. Like honestly, he understands everything. Like he's flowing as a quarterback and everything. I mean, I think the Wisconsin game, like I genuinely think he started the game like 15 for 15 with like
he did. He was on fire against us, which was great.
Like, he is insane on a team that did not play to his strengths with the O-line. I mean, Ryan Williams had like a million drops. It was a bad year for Ryan Williams. Germany was a good producer, Latier Brooks, but like our run game was horrid. Even with Jam Miller in, which he wasn't to start this season because he was injured, it still didn't look great. Like they could not run the ball at all, man, like to save their life. And so they had to put the game in this guy's hands as a first-year starter. And I thought he played way better than really anybody else would have, to be honest. So
yeah, he did have some really good touchdown games, but like I think my biggest issue with the games where he did have a lot of touchdowns was like LA Monroe, Wisconsin, Missouri, and Auburn were those games, and it's like that's not great competition. So like I don't, and then the games where he only had 1 or 0, it was like against Georgia and Oklahoma and LSU. Like those are better teams where he didn't put up as many touchdown numbers. And I get like touchdowns aren't everything, but like that's where you score points. And like the reason why I didn't care as much about Mendoza's yard production compared to Simpson's touchdown production is because points are what matter really. And if you're not putting up points, like you're not going to win games. Like yards don't matter as much as obviously putting touchdowns on the board. Sure. And that's not a huge knock on Simpson. I think he still can be touchdown productive. And like you said, I think he's more developmental. If you can get him some good development in the NFL, I really think he could turn out to be a good quarterback. Like he showcased that. He had good games against Vanderbilt, Tennessee, LSU, Oklahoma. Like that's good competition, and he played well. But yeah, I just think like when you're not as touchdown productive in a better conference, it's hard for me to trust that you're going to do that in the NFL. Yeah, overall, I like Simpson more than the average like college football viewer, I guess. I think a lot of people got hung up on his completion rate, and I can give him grace for that. He had a lot of drops. His adjusted completion rate was 75.3%. That's really solid.
It was pretty much the same as Mendoza's in a way less friendly system. It was 4% less. Yeah.
And yeah, I think his overall grades on PFF took a big hit just from his completion rate, and I think that wasn't exactly fair because he had like 18% drop rate or something, or not 18, it was like 8, I think. But that's still like
his adjusted completion ratio went up 10%, and I think like I did the math and I was like he would have had like 5 or 6 more touchdowns and like 2 less interceptions if it weren't for like bobbled balls and incomplete passes or catches. Like his stats would look way better if he had Omar Cooper and Elijah Surratt, so to say. But, you know, Bama's receiving core is good. They were just very inconsistent. Our whole team was pretty inconsistent this year, to be honest.
I would agree. And I think he played really well regardless of that fact, which is why I still have him as late first round, early second round talent. I think he's a good player. But I do just have some of those question marks about what he would be able to do in the NFL and whether he's worth taking that early. So for that reason, I put him a little bit lower than Mendoza. Like I feel like Mendoza's a little bit more NFL ready, especially when you talk about like this was.
Where is he on your big board? Can I ask where Simpson is?
I think he's 24.
Okay, so you're high. He's 31 for me. He's higher for.
And for my big board, I kind of took into account like positional value as well, so that's why he's a little bit high.
See, I didn't. I just did it as how I viewed them. So they're actually me and you see Simpson pretty much exactly the same.
I think we do. Like literally exactly the same. I think he's end of the first round, early second round talent who can be developed into a solid quarterback.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals or the Steelers should take a chance on him in the end of the first.
I agree. I actually I did a for fun mock draft where I included like trades and stuff. I have the Cardinals trading up to pick him in the first round. I think that would probably be smart. Yeah. Like I think what I did is I had them trading with the Cowboys and the Cowboys moving up to pick 3, and then the Cardinals moved back to 12 and 20. And I had them picking Simpson at 20, which I think would be good value, honestly. Like,
yeah.
I think he is a first round talent when it boils down to it, especially with positional value. We'll see. I think he probably goes in the first round just because how there's so many QB needy teams. That's kind of just my view on it.
Yeah.
But we'll see. It'll be interesting. I'm excited to watch the draft and see where he goes because I really like him. He seems like a nice dude. It'll be cool to see where he goes.
Yeah. You want to talk about running backs now, Jeremiah Love? I kind of got to be a little quick because I still have to get ready for work. So Love, yeah, I thought he was a home run bounce out threat. He is 9 on my big board. Now, I'm not as high on him as everybody else, but he's still a good player, still a first round pick, still the best running back in this class. So it also is a little bit because of it's a weaker class, but yeah, I thought he had great house call speed with deceivingly fast speed. I mean, he showed that at the combat when he ran that 4.36. Didn't think it was that good, but damn, it is. Good receiving threat, super elusive with his jukes, hurdles, and spin moves. He's elite in short yard situations, consistently getting extra yards on each run, like that Penn State playoff game. He's a patient runner who's always finding holes and never ceases to attack and run through them. He's a good enough blocker to never leave the field. Like he is a 3-down back because of his ability to play in pass pro and his receiving ability. His bounce out ability, he turns broken plays into home runs, man, with his speed, and he just bounces out. This shows he the 92.6 zone grade. That is really, really damn good. And he has elite ball security with only 1 fumble on the last 2 years. My biggest con for him is that he was shut out in literally all his biggest games, with most of his production coming against the bad teams. They are like him and Jadarian Price, kind of like Mendoza, were really just stat padding. I mean, I had all his best games as Syracuse, Purdue, Virginia, Navy, and Purdue. All those teams suck. There is not a single good team there outside of maybe 2024 Virginia was decent. I can't remember off the top of my head. But when he played in the Natty, he was garbage. 3 yards in the Natty. The Sugar Bowl versus Georgia, 19 yards. When they played Miami of Ohio, I thought he didn't even have a good game. When they played Miami this year, he only had 33 yards. In the Orange Bowl versus Penn State, outside of that really, really good run, he only had 45 yards. Versus Indiana, he had 108 yards. And I know that this is like a really big but if you get rid of his 99-yard play, like that one game, which is stellar, I'm gonna give him credit for that, it's really, really good. You take that out, which was a kind of broken play in Indiana's defense, he was shut out. He had like 9 yards for the whole rest of the game. He did nothing the entire rest of the game. Yes, he had one of the best plays in that college football run for them, but like, dude, he was horrid the rest of the game. So outside of that, he literally did not have a good play or a good stretch of plays or even a good game against any good team they faced. And they went to the Natty. They played a bunch of them in a row, and pretty much every time they won, not because of Jeremiah Love. So I was lower on him initially, but a 4.36 bounce out threat that's as big as he is just too hard to ignore. He is still a very, very good player, and honestly, I probably would have given the Heisman to him because I just thought he was more impressive than Mendoza. Still one of the worst Heismans, if it were given to him, that I would have ever seen. But, I still thought he was better. What did you think about him? Probably viewed him a little similar to me.
I do have him in my top 5 prospects in this draft. I watched his tape, and I really liked it. I definitely have him higher than Mendoza. I agree. I would have given him the Heisman over Mendoza. I think the Heisman is kind of like the MVP in the NFL, where it's just like a quarterback award now, and that kind of is annoying. But Love, I felt like he was one of the most fun prospects to watch. He has insane lineup of moves, strength, and speed in the open field. He's really hard to tackle. Easily the most productive running back in the FBS over the last 2 seasons. He's racked up 3,000 all-purpose yards and 40 touchdowns in 2 years. That is ridiculous. I thought that he broke like it seemed like every play he'd break at least like 1 tackle. It was like nuts. Yeah. He was a touchdown machine, excellent build, incredible speed. It's really hard to ignore in a guy that plays on a really solid Notre Dame team. He struggled with good comp last year. For sure. This year, I thought he was much better outside of Miami. Like against USC, he put up 228 yards and a touchdown.
USC has one of the worst Power 4 defenses virtually every year, though.
Which is fair. Their defense wasn't as good, but that's still a good USC team. They're ranked. Texas A&M, he put up almost 100 yards and a touchdown this year. I thought that was good. I think this year he played a lot better against good competition, just in general. Last year definitely is something to look out for because, yes, he was horrible in the Natty. He was horrible in the college football playoff, but I think he definitely developed his game a bit this year, and he looked a lot better against those good teams. Like you said, USC is not as good of a defense.
He is a 3-down back, too. That is very valuable. Yes. He will never leave the field for you,
Yes, he is consistent, and
he tackles forced. That really stood out to me too.
That's crazy. And like you said, he only fumbled once since 2024. Great ball security. he was just a workhorse for Notre Dame. 199
Yeah.
carries, and that's if you take out Jadarian Price out of that conversation, like dude, this would be getting like 300 carries in a season. He had 199 carries for almost 1,400 yards and 18 touchdowns. And then in the receiving game, he had 27 receptions for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he had 21 total touchdowns this year. I mean, you just can't ignore that kind of production. He's a freak athlete. I just think this dude is definitely worth taking in the top 5 in this draft, especially when it's a really weak class. Now, you could have some discourse about, like, there's probably more important defensive positions that would be taken above him. And I feel like that's fair. But for me, just as a prospect, I think he's so good that I would take him in the top 5. And I really like the Titans taking him at 4. I think that would be a great play for them. Like, give Cam Ward a little bit of help. But yeah, another interesting watch for the draft, because I think he could slide a little bit if people don't view running back as important.
I think the first place I would be comfortable taking him would be to the Commanders at 7.
Okay.
Any spot above, I think there's better players at more important positions for them. I think
fair.
his range for me is like 7 to 20. Although I would say he probably would never get past the Vikings pick.
Would be so upset if he fell.
I do think, like, since with positional value, obviously running back's one of the least important, that would be more of his range for me. He's 9 on my big board, but probably like 10 to 15, so he could sneak to that 17 range is probably like where he's valued for me. But yeah, if we got him, I mean, like, I don't love him, so I wouldn't be like ecstatic or anything like a lot of Vikings fans would be, but I would still be like, yeah, that's a damn good running back. Can play all 3 downs. He's going to make big plays for you. He's probably going to be a top 15 running back in the league. So yeah. You want to talk about the other Notre Dame running back, or do you have anything else with Love?
No, that's all I got. I really like him. It'll be interesting to see where he goes on draft night. We can talk about Jadarian, though, for sure.
Okay, so Jadarian Price, for me, he is 53 on my big board, and of the 3 running backs I watched, currently he is the worst one. Where is he for you?
He is at 61 on my big board.
Okay, damn. So we both don't like him. All right,
yeah,
that's good. Can I sum up why I don't like him? Because I'm sure it's the same reason why you don't like him. You can talk about him if you want. But so some of the good traits with him, he's incredibly hard to tackle with elite elusiveness. He has a 4.5 yards after contact average, 27 missed tackles forced, and a very limited workload. His contact balance is elite. His physicality is elite. Like, he literally took Michael Taffy's soul, like, bitched him into the ground for a really, really good touchdown. And I mean,
that was the thing that made me hate Michael Taffy.
And he has good vision and legit special teams value. Like, I think he would be a really, really good returner in the NFL.
Yes.
Overall, for me, though, his physical profile is average. He doesn't have elite height or elite size, and his 4.49 40 isn't anything to, like, be amazed about. For how he was noticeably better as a zone runner than a gap runner, 81.4 zone grade, 69.5 gap grade. So his bounce out ability is where he, makes his big plays, but I don't think he has the speed to be an elite outside zone threat at the next level. He also clearly benefited from Love. A lot of this guy, he gets in at the end of games or when the defense is worn out from trying to defend Love. And he's a good enough player that he still just beats up on these guys who are already exhausted. I mean, like, there was so many touchdowns against like Purdue and like Navy or Army where he's up like Notre Dame's up like 40 points. It's like 40-0 and he's scoring on them. Like, dude, come on. He has a lack of elite college production. I get he was behind Jeremiah Love, but it still brings question as to what level of workload can he carry into the next level.
Right.
He had fumble issues this year on limited carries, which is not great. 3 fumbles this year on very limited carries. Very bad. I do not like that at all. He has bad games against good comp. Same thing with Love. All of his games against elite competition were not good. Outside of Texas, that was his only solid game against good competition for me. I don't think he's not going to be a receiver at the next level. He just won't be. He has no production and he just did not look good doing it. He's also a really poor blocker, like an atrocious blocker in pass. 26 pass.
26.
8.5 run blocking grade. So he's not going to be on the field. He's literally only going to be like a third, like short yardage situations is the only time I'm bringing this guy in really ever. And then he also had an Achilles tear and missed his entire freshman year. And as a running back, I know he's had 2 solid seasons since that, but it's like, you don't like to see that shred. That's a horrible injury to have. I mean, it literally takes careers. It's kind of like the kiss of death for running backs. So there was just so many things, like he isn't traded up really at all. He doesn't have the production. fumble issue for me. Had games against good comp, not a receiver, not a blocker, not even close to a 3-down back, probably never will be. I think he can be a solid running back 2 in the right system and probably more or less like a running back 3 in specialized systems. But yeah, 53 on my big board. I mean, maybe you take him in like the late 3rd, 4th for me. I did not really like Price, and I thought he was a huge benefactor of Love.
Yes, that was my biggest hit on him is like I think Love just like you said, Love would go in there, wear down the defense, and then they put in Price and he would just like eat off of the entire defenses. Like that's not that impressive to me. But overall, yeah, I just think Price is a career RB2, maybe RB3. Like I never think he's gonna bump up to that RB1 level.
I agree.
I thought he was really average size, really average athleticism. I didn't really see anything that stood out there. And yeah, I think he'd be a really good like return man, like you said. He had 2 return touchdowns this year. He looked really solid. But like the other thing is, if he's going to be an RB2 or 3, those are usually the backs that need to be good at blocking, and he is horrible at blocking. Usually, like I just know from the Packers, like Chris Brooks is our RB2 right now. And he's like a really good blocker, and he comes in and he usually blocks on play action. If Jadarian Price cannot block, like, dude, what is he gonna do in the NFL if he's an RB2?
So when he's in the game, you know what the team's doing. They're not gonna pass because they can't trust him in pass pro, and they're not gonna have him run out. They're probably not passing at all.
Right. Like if you bring him into the game, you know he's getting the ball, and to me, that just seems like really easy to read for the defense, and it's gonna have him struggle a lot to get yards. And yeah, I just thought like he didn't put up excellent numbers for 113 carries. Like, yeah, he put up almost 700 yards and 11 touchdowns, but like, dude, you're getting over 100 carries and that's all you got. Like, and he wasn't a receiver. He struggled with fumbling this year. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like for how much Jeremiah Love beat down on the opposing defense, he honestly should have done more in his role.
I agree.
And to me, that just kind of, I don't know. I just didn't really like him that much. He was really, I mean, honestly, he was a solid running back. He was good at breaking tackles, good balance. He kept his legs churning. He was solidly strong. I mean, he did put up 21 on bench. That's pretty solid. But yeah, his vertical jump was not good. His broad jump was not good. His 40 was meh. Like, I don't know. It's just nothing stood out to me. Average receiver. He just seemed very average and then below average in blocking. And like, the blocking thing is big for me because I was just thinking, like, as an RB2, you need to be able to block. And yeah, I don't know. I just don't know where you would take this guy because honestly,
as a developmental prospect, he's not a good enough athlete to get any better. And he's already,
he's 22 and a half.
Yeah. And then his blocking and receiving ability is so bad, I don't even think it can be developed. Like,
that's what I'm saying. So. Like I said, if you bring him into the game, the other team's going to know what you're doing. And that's where, like, I don't know when you take this guy because, like, it's so easy to tell when you're going to run with him. So, I don't know.
I wasn't that impressed. Definitely the worst of the 2 Notre Dame backs. He gets tough to go into the first round.
I'm just going to say that. I've seen talk of the Seahawks taking him at 32. I'm like, that would ruin the Seahawks. The Seahawks would never do that.
If you went in the 2nd round, it would be insane to me.
I agree. I don't think he should.
I'm going to watch more of these running backs like Emmett Johnson, and Jonah Coleman. I bet they're both going to be better than me. It would hard for them to not be, you know. But yeah, I didn't like Price. Neither did you. Do you want to talk about Mike Washington?
Yeah.
Okay, you can talk about him because I talked about Price first.
Yeah. All right. So Mike Washington, I definitely liked him more than Price.
Me too.
To me, he's a freakish running
board. Sorry, I just kind of want to start with that.
Yeah. He is 46. Love. So for
unless I like Emmett Johnson, I think he will be my second too.
Okay, yeah. I watched Emmett Johnson. I wasn't as big of a fan, but it would be interesting to see what you thought. Yeah, Mike Washington is my second running back in this class, mostly just because of how freakish he was. So he's 6'1", 223 pounds, runs a 4.33 40, 39-inch vertical, 10.8 broad, 10 RAS score.
Yeah, that can't be ignored. His bench results came in, which were only like 30th percentile. His RAS dropped to a 9.88, so it wasn't a 10. But pre-bench, it was 10.
Yes.
So if you don't care about bench, which to be fair, a lot of teams don't, he is a 10 RAS athlete. Yeah, one-on-one. Yeah.
Really good athleticism and size. I mean, he has almost 30 5/8-inch arms. Like that's crazy.
96th percentile arms. Yeah.
And he put up an 1,000-yard season in the SEC this year, which I feel like kind of goes unnoticed a little bit.
It's
He was
impressive,
really
man. Yeah.
productive. Not as productive on the touchdowns, but still put up 8 touchdowns in 12 games. That's really solid. And he honestly, for like being a bigger dude, he was solid in the receiving game. He had 28 receptions for 226 yards and a touchdown. One of
Thought
them
he
was
was up
like
there
a
on the
really
receiving game
long
too.
touchdown. He ripped it off, and it was like a great play. I also thought like he was really consistent this year. I don't think he had a game where I was like, "That's not a great game." I think his worst game was like an average game for me.
Yeah.
He had really solid games against Tennessee and Missouri. What else? I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, and he put up 100+ yards against Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Texas. Like those are really solid teams, and he put up good yardage against them. I think he
Yeah.
scored against Tennessee and Texas, and yeah, he didn't record a single game this year below 46 rushing yards in the SEC, which I feel like is a really good sign for transitioning to the NFL. He's
Wait.
really tough to break.
Say that Jadarian Price bitched Michael Taffy. Wasn't it Mike Washington? Am I tripping? I think Washington was the one who tripped him.
Did you say
Yeah, I said
Jadarian Price?
Jadarian Price, and they didn't play Texas. Yeah,
I was gonna say that sounded
I
weird to
missed-
me, bro.
I messed that up. Yeah, Washington was the one that absolutely killed Taffy.
Okay,
Sorry,
I was
didn't
so
realize that. I was
confused
thinking about
when-
it. Wow, that's my bad. Damn.
No,
At least
you're
I realized it though.
You're good. Yeah. No, Mike Washington did toss Michael Toff. And like I just like his size and his athleticism. Like that's really invaluable as a running back when you have this much experience in a good conference. He is really tough to bring down, good at finding the gap. He's good at using his open field moves to break tackles and escape defenders. Honestly, my biggest knocks for him were he is a horrible blocker, like really bad at blocking.
Not great.
And he's a little bit on the older side. Like he's almost 23. He'll be 23 by the time the season starts. And he is not great at protecting the ball. Like he had 3 fumbles this year, 10 in his career. But yeah, I definitely like the athleticism and size. I like the fact that he put up 1,000 yards in a good SEC. But yeah, I would like to hear what you have on him because I do like Mike Washington.
So I'm a little higher on him than you, big board wise, but yeah, I love the elite games against top end competition on a bad team. By the way, did not have a good O line, did not have any receivers to take away like any looks or help him out at all. But yeah, good games against Ole Miss, Tennessee, Texas A&M, LSU, Texas. I mean, he did not back down against ferocious competition. That's awesome. Elite one-of-one athleticism for size. Like he is, for how athletic he is and how long he is, it should not make sense that he is this bouncy and fast. This dude can jump out of the gym with his broad vert, and then his speed is ridiculous. He's good in both zone and gap schemes. I thought he has the versatility to play in virtually any scheme in the NFL because of that. Super physical, elusive, hard to tackle player, and was a threat in the receiving game. I issue the same concerns as you. Ball security is valid. Pass pro and blocking are both really bad, so he probably won't be a full-time running back. And I thought, weirdly enough, I don't know if you noticed this, but his burst and speed seem to fluctuate. There was plays that I thought he should have cribbed. If he has 4.33 speed, I was like, he kind of got caught at times against like dudes that definitely aren't running 4.3s that I was like, what is happening? So I don't know if that was maybe like a nagging injury or if he really just had an elite showing at the combine and kind of doesn't replicate that in the season, or if he's just a different on-field runner. Still fast on tape, but like, I don't know. It was just a little inconsistent for me, but yeah, I would probably take him in the second round. Like if the Vikings took him, I would be fine with that. Obviously, he isn't going to be an every down back because of his blocking. But honestly, even that, he has the size and the length that you could probably coach it into him to be adequate. And because of that, I think he is the second best running back in this class because he just has that 3-down potential, I think, that a lot of backs in this class miss. And man, the athletic profile is elite. So,
really good.
Yeah, we think the same things about him. I'm interested to see where he goes because of this athleticism, as you could see him going really high. But yeah, I have nothing else to say about the running backs in this class. Do you want to move to tight ends, Kenyon Sadiq talk?
Yeah,
that's
good.
Something else to say on Washington?
No, you hit everything. I think I hit everything I wanted to talk about for him. Definitely like him as a prospect, but yeah.
Yeah. So Sadiq, I'll start with him. Sadiq is kind of the same as Washington, alien level prospect as a tight end, elite athleticism. 4.39 40 is 100th percentile. 43.5-inch vert is 100th percentile. 7.1 broad is 100th percentile. 26 bench reps is 91st percentile. And just a super souped up uber elite athlete. I think it shows on his tape. He has quick feet that allow for instant separation out of his routes. A lot of these linebackers that try to cover him are left in the dust. He is a mismatch. in the passing game. He has good hands and attacks at the catch point. He goes up and gets the ball, which is awesome because he's 6'3", 241 with a really, really good vert. I thought he had the versatility to play everywhere as an outside wide receiver, as an inline tight end, and as a slot tight end. He finds soft spots in zone, is a solid receiver, honestly. His body control is really good. You could tell he's just super flexible, good athlete overall. And he's incredibly young, man. He just turned 21. Some of the negatives about Sadiq, because for me, I forgot to say this, but he is my 23rd player. I feel like that's a little lower. Maybe that's around consensus.
That's what mine is too.
23, really?
Yep.
That's awesome. So, man, we view a lot of these guys pretty much identically, except Lorenza. You know, Sadiq, I thought, was a little lighter for an NFL tight end, and it kind of shows because his blocking needs a little bit of work still. I mean, he has the size and the strength to develop that. That's probably still why he's this high for me. He struggles against press, I thought, as a receiver. I mean, he probably will have to face a ton of it, but, you know, maybe against bigger competition, that issue can arise as well. And he is, you know, his biggest knock is just he's inexperienced with a lot less production than desired. I mean, this year he only had 560 yards, 8 touchdowns. Oregon's wide receiver room was not good enough to overshadow him. The running back room was not good enough to overshadow him. He should have been the guy in this offense. And, you know, Oregon's season was super long too, and he just played fine. I didn't really think he played good against any big teams either. Indiana, he only had 21 yards against. Texas Tech, only 22 yards against. Indiana in the college football playoffs, only 29 yards against. I will say his Penn State game, their college football playoff against Penn State in 2024 was really good. He had 2 touchdowns. He had that, you know, hurdle highlight reel. But this year, I mean, like, his best games were Oregon State, Rutgers, Minnesota, and USC. None of those guys are really elite comp. So that does, you know, you wish you could take this guy so much higher, but I don't even know if he has the capacity to be that elite level football player with his production. I mean, obviously, we viewed him like literally exactly the same. So if you had any other issues you wanted to mirror or things you liked about him, I'd love to hear it. But that's awesome that we had him. That's
actually really. Overall, I kind of actually view him more as a developmental guy just because he's so inexperienced. That's why he's a little bit lower for me. But I do like how young he is, and like with his athleticism, he could be a very invaluable player. Yes, he has one of the highest ceilings of any prospect in this class. I really liked his receiving ability overall. I thought he was reliable, and like for how athletic he is, he does need to be a good receiver. I thought he was actually a pretty solid blocker. Honestly, I didn't think it was that bad. He was pretty average in run block.
Bad. I think it just needed work.
Yeah, that's fair. I think he definitely
you draft him. I would like for it to be better.
That's totally fair. I thought it was average, but definitely could get better. I thought he was really solid on contested catching. I think he had like almost a 60% contested catch rate. That's really solid for a tight end. I thought he was a good route runner. He has excellent size and arm length to pluck balls out of the air.
His arm length is really low. That is the one thing. Percentile 31.5, but it's not like low enough that it's like, you know,
but
horrid.
But he does have big hands, which helps. 10-inch hands. But yeah, I just thought I didn't think he was like the generational tight end that a lot of people make him out to be just because he's more developmental. And I didn't like his drop rate. I don't know if you mentioned that. He dropped 10% of his balls for only getting 51 receptions. Don't like that necessarily. And I didn't like that he didn't play as well in the big games this year, like against Texas Tech and Indiana. In the CFP, he wasn't that amazing. Like nothing stood out to me. But overall, like you said, I just think he's more of a developmental tight end who, if you could develop him like into a good blocker and a good even better receiver, he could be one of the best tight ends in the league. He has great versatility. I'm really excited to watch him in the NFL. He's one of the guys I'm more excited to watch because if he can be developed, I think he could be amazing. But yeah, that's all I got for Kenyon. Do you want to talk about like Eli Stowers? Yes, he might be a Viking. Yes, yeah. But do you want to talk about Eli Stowers then?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to start with him? Let's start. Where is he on your big board?
Where is he? I have him at 31.
Okay, he's 45 for me, so I view him a little worse than you. Do you want to start with him?
Sure, I can talk about him.
All right.
All right. So I said Stowers was an extremely tough and strong player. He's a beast in the open field and very hard to bring down in general. I thought he was another athletic freak in vertical and horizontal jumping ability. He's also solidly fast as well. He ran a 4.51, which is like, that's pretty solid for a tight end. Like, I feel like it kind of gets overshadowed by Kenyon Sadiq's 4.39, but like a 4.51 is really solid for a tight end.
96th percentile.
96th percentile. Like, that's really
Yeah,
good.
elite.
Stowers excels at producing in the pass game. I think one thing I liked about him more than Sadiq was how consistent he was this year, especially against SEC competition. He also has really good length. He has 32 and 5/8 inch arms. He's 6'4". Like, that's good length. That's going to help you make big plays on the ball. Things that I did not like about him, he's definitely a below average run blocker. And he also seems to like let off the gas before the play is over a lot of the times. Didn't like that. But yeah, overall, I just thought he was really solid. He's 81.6 overall grade, 85.3 receiving grade, 71.5 pass block grade, which is solid. He didn't drop the ball as often as Sadiq, 6.1% drop rate. In his 2 years at Vandy, he racked up 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns. That's really solid. He had good games against Missouri, Texas, and Tennessee this year. His worst game was against
Bama in 2024. That Bama game was 2024.
I was gonna say he actually did not play very well against Bama this year. He had 2 drops. So that was definitely something to watch out for. But overall, I just thought he was an athletic freak. He's a little bit on the older side, which I think that's my biggest knock on him compared to Sadiq is like you can't really develop him.
He's
as
2 years
much.
older, yeah.
Right. So that's why he's lower than Sadiq for me. But overall, I think he's going to be a really solid tight end in the NFL. He has great receiving ability. As long as you don't use him as a run blocker, I think he could be really solid. Like, that's kind of my biggest thing is he's more one-dimensional than Sadiq as well.
Would you take him in the first if he's 31 for you? If you needed this type of player, would you take him in the first?
Hey, he's 31 for me. Haven't done any offensive lines.
That's fair. I can see that. I'm lower on him, obviously, but I could see that being his range because of his upside.
Could see him slipping into the first round because he's so athletic and because he's a good receiver.
Well, I think a team would really have to like him. Like, I
agree.
I
totally
agree. To like mid-20s, and if Sadiq drops, I don't think Stowers has a chance to go first.
Which is fair, yeah.
But yeah,
I really like his fit with in the second round if the Buccaneers got their hands on him.
Yeah, I think the Broncos too would love him.
Broncos.
That's the common fit,
but yeah, overall, I think he's really solid. He's great athleticism, good size, just not a great blocker. And he sometimes lets off the gas before the play is over. But I'm excited to see what you have because you're a little bit lower on him than me.
Things I liked about him, I think the big game show his takeover potential as honestly, I think he could be a team's probably weapon 1 or 2, most likely 2, but how the offense kind of runs through Bowers. Obviously, he's not that level of prospect, but I think he could be a really solid second option. His game against Bama when Vandy upset us, last year, he had 113 yards, 6 for 6 on catches. The good games in their bowl game against Georgia Tech. This year, Texas and Auburn, 2 SEC teams that are pretty decent. Obviously, Texas being better. He had 146 yards, 2 touchdowns against Texas, and 122 yards against Auburn. That shows, man. He was Diego Pavia. You can make fun of Pavia all you want as a prospect, but he was a Heisman candidate, and his wide receiver 1, or not wide receiver 1, but weapon 1 was Stowers. Elite athlete with insane bounce. When he gets up on that ball and attacks it at the catch point, he gets up. Once again, another mismatch guy. His vertical ability is legit. You could actually have him run vertical routes down the field and he will get there on time for you. I thought he had great hands. 1 drop in 2024, 4 drops in 2025. The drop issue was a little worse this year, but I thought overall it wasn't anything to be
still not bad.
Super worried about. Pretty good route runner too. He explodes off the line and out of his breaks. And then he's an elite yak threat, man. With the ball in his hand, this guy consistently gets 15, 20 yards down the field after the catch. My problem with him is he is kind of a niche prospect in the sense of his build. Arande Gadsden, for instance, production should have been drafted way higher, but kind of is a very similar archetype, like a power slot receiver and less of a tight end. And these guys just fall because not a lot of teams need them or value them. Because he is undersized for a tight end. He's 230 pounds. Yes, he's 239 pounds, but you would, for him to be a comfortable blocking tight end, probably wish he had 25 extra pounds on him. His touchdown production was also lacking in his career, in my opinion. Only 5 in 2024 and 4 in 2025. For as good of a team as Vanderbilt was and as the main weapon on that team, I thought he should have had a lot more, especially being the mismatch he was. His blocking just won't be a part of his game at the next level. It just won't be. I thought his pass pro was decent, but his run blocking great. He just doesn't have the size for it. And then I also thought for the type of player he was, this is probably why I'm a little lower on him than you are. His contested catch rate is bad. Only 5 for 15 in 2024 and 7 to 17 in 2025. This guy should be getting up and dominating at least over 50% of them, and he's at 40% and 33%. So it's not great, but I would probably take a mid to end of second round if you really need this type of like joker, power slot, tight end-esque player. Because his athleticism is really, really good, and he can be a receiver, but like, let's not get it twisted. He's a tight end because that's what he was listed at in college, but he's not really going to be like an NFL tight end. He's going to be like a bigger receiver for whatever team that drafts him. So yeah, I like Stowers, but I don't think there's a world where he's better than Sadiq. He's just too old. I thought Sadiq was, yes, less productive, but not enough less productive to be like anything major. And then Sadiq's also just a better athlete and is the better blocker. So, yeah, Stowers is interesting to me, but I could actually see him falling further than, and I could see a lot of tight ends going above him simply because he's not a tight end. Like, I think a lot of teams are going to look at him as a receiver, and then if you ranked him amongst the receivers in this draft, he's like, I don't even know if he's a top 10 receiver, just because it's actually a good receiving class. So, you know, if there's a chance for him to fall in the third, but I'm interested with how athletic he is to see where he goes. He's just a fun player overall, and yeah, I just wish he was a little bigger and blocked a little better, because then he would actually definitively be the second best tight end of this class.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't have anything to talk about obvious, any of him or tight ends in general. Was there anything you had on him, Sadiq, or any other tight ends you wanted to bring up?
No, I really only thought Stowers and Sadiq were like the top end tight ends in this draft. I think there's some that are interesting.
Yeah, like I think Roush gets a lot of hype, and I'd be interested to watch him. Claire, he has a good build, I guess, for it, but kind of a disappointing season.
But overall, I think, honestly, Stowers and Sadiq are the only two that I think could be true tight end ones on a team. I don't even know if Stowers could even do that, just because he's not as good of a blocker.
Yeah, I don't think he can be a tight end. You know, that's interesting because Sadiq could go really high simply because he's the only tight end that's actually good in like the first 2 to 3 rounds.
Right. Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see where these two guys go. But overall, I don't really have anything else to talk about any of the other tight ends. They're all, I mean, there's some solid ones, but nothing that screams like elite to me.
Yeah, kind of just a weaker class for them in general.
Yeah, weak for all three of these classes, honestly. Running backs
covered it last, you know. It just wasn't that good of a class, to be honest. Defense was way better in this class.
For sure. This is much more of a defensive class. That's definitely what we'll be watching more, is all the defenders. But yeah, overall, I think I don't really have anything else to say to you.
No. You know, this video, I wish it could have been a little longer, to be honest. I have to leave for work in like less than an hour, though. We just didn't get a ton of guys, time to watch a ton of guys. And quarterbacks take so long for me personally that, you know, this is just kind of a quick sum up of offensive grades, because some of this has some fantasy implications too. But honestly, I feel like we covered all the guys that are like first and second round talents, just like we did with all the other position. It was just weaker for all of them. But yeah, we're gonna post mock drafts and try and compete with each other to see who's more accurate. And then after the draft, we will, I don't know when we'll make a video, maybe Sunday.
Hopefully pretty soon after the draft to recap it.
To recap. And otherwise, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. I don't have anything else to say to you.
Yeah, I mean, we put in a lot of work to this stuff. So if you guys like it, please consider subscribing, liking. It's been fun. I'm really excited. We're going to watch the draft together, so that's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome.
We'll actually be in the same room as each other, so we'll have some good breakdowns of the draft.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. It's going to be
It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. This is the Neutral Zone, and we will see you guys later.